Short squeeze for stocks is set to continue. High-yield bonds, S&P 500, Dow Jones, and NASDAQ all hit record highs. Precious metals are shining. Silver, gold, and to a lesser degree, less precious copper is also at all-time highs. We will also look at natural gas as it approaches bullish levels after a significant rally. And I will give an example of how to trade various cryptocurrencies, Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin using my proprietary MasterChartsTrading.com market indicators, which you can find out more about by going to the link in the description. All this and more in today's edition of MasterChartsTrading.com market recap for Friday, May 17, 2024. Thank you again for all of the likes and all the shares and all of the questions you've been asking on the YouTube channel. Please continue doing this, and this is what helps keeps this channel going and pushes the ratings of this video up so more people can see it. Please, thank you again for those. If you're a subscriber, stay tuned. We will cover various securities. For example, we will look at some of the Forex pairs in the members only video, ETFs, as well as large cap stocks, and quite a bit of various speculative securities that we also look at. Many of the Chinese firms, Alibaba, RLX Technologies, are in today's edition as well, JD.com as well. So also we'll cover gold related in the members only video. S&P 500 has hit an all-time high. There it is. It was hit yesterday on 16th of May. I mean, we broke out on the 15th of May, two new records, and then again hit them on yesterday on Thursday. So normally when people trade on the short side, so that let's say okay, everybody wants to buy, we know where to buy. We buy on a pullback. So for example, wonderful opportunity to buy on a pullback occurred right there where I'm hovering on Thursday the 2nd of November last year, following a pullback from what then was a record high at around 4,500 for S&P 500. And then basically this is exactly what I did as well. Here's my position, S&P 500 ETF SPY. I bought it back in October of last year, and I did sell half because I thought this was the end of it back in January. Clearly I was wrong, and now we continue higher, and we made another all-time high. I'm still holding half of my position, but by and large, this is the way we trade is on the long side. We wait for a pullback, we buy a pullback around the blue line. What do you do if you are not convinced that this rally will continue, or if you want to take the opposing side? So you take a short position, right? So how do you take a short position? You, for example, let's just pretend that back here in March of this year, you became convinced that stocks were no longer going to be going up, and at this point you decided to sell it short, for example here in March, and you were successful slightly, but then let's just pretend that you got greedy and you didn't take any profits, and you're just like, oh no, we're gonna go down, collapse, and we're gonna have a recession, and the end of the world might come any minute now. And you were wrong, because a few days later the stocks turned around and made a new all-time high. Where do you place your short stop? So let's say you shorted it back in March, late March. You need to place your stop somewhere. Normally people put their short stops on above the previous records. So previous records have just been shattered, and we are at new all-time highs. So you placed your stop at new records, and now at this point you're forced to cover. So what does it mean, forced to cover? You borrowed the stock, right? You sold it short, you borrowed the stock, you sold it. It's called selling short. Now you need to buy to cover. So you buy to cover in an open market, and when people buy to cover, there's more buying pressure. So there is the definition of short squeeze, basically. And I think it will continue as more and more people who thought that, let's say they place their stops ever higher, maybe at like 54,000, 5,400, maybe even 5,500, but usually they're just right around the tops. They place their short stops here. So at this point, they're going to be forced to cover, and the short squeeze will likely continue. Like I just showed, the S&P 500 ETF SPY also at records. That makes sense because it follows the actual index. Dow Jones, same thing. Alert was sent back in November of last year, and again we just made new record highs. So no difference there. Basically, S&P 500, Dow Jones, and NASDAQ, they have a high degree of correlation. So they pretty much doing the same thing as the S&P 500 does. So we can look, for example, at here's Dow Jones, and down below here is a correlation to the S&P 500, and you can see it's very high. It's mostly positive, and the same thing goes for QQQ for NASDAQ. Also, it's very high. So basically, Dow Jones and NASDAQ are doing pretty much the same thing as S&P 500. Just there are slight variations, and of course, there are variations in performance as well. So by and large, it's a pretty good thing that we're seeing highs for QQQ, for NASDAQ, for S&P, and for Dow Jones at the same time. Small caps are still slightly behind, but they're not that far behind, so it's not. I don't feel like it's a big deal. High yield bonds, JNK, so also have hit an all-time high. Yeah, you have to understand that this high yield bonds, JNK, this is an all-time high. It has exceeded previous highs from 2021. So high yield bonds correlate highly to S&P 500. This is down below here is correlation coefficient to the S&P 500, and it's clearly pretty high. So most of the time, the correlation coefficient spends its time in the positive territory, meaning that they're doing the same thing. Occasionally, you can see that high yield bonds and stocks move in the opposite direction, but by and large, it's the same thing. So when high yield bonds hit an all-time highs together with stocks, I consider it a good thing because there's no divergence. Sometimes there is a bearish divergence where junk debt, for example, decides to pull back, but stocks just keep powering higher. So at this point, I don't see it, obviously, and we will continue monitoring this. But for now, I'm seeing, the engine fire on all cylinders, so to speak. So we got everything stock related going up. High yield bonds are more stock related than bond related. So far so good, basically. Let's switch gears a little bit. Right now we're looking at dollar currency index, DXY. So it's been basically stuck in this range, more or less, for about a year almost, really. We didn't really break out up or down out of this range since 2023. I think a breakout out of this range would be quite powerful one way or the other. So I'm guessing a breakout above this high from October, or a break down below this December 2023 lows. But for now, using my indicators, we're looking at notice that this DXY, the dollar currency index, closed above the blue line yet again right there yesterday, and now we're wondering, should we be buying dollar and shouldn't gold pull back? And why would I say that? So XAU divided by USD, normal correlation between dollar and what do they call it? Between dollar and gold is usually negative. I'm going to show you this correlation in just a second. But usually when dollar goes up, stocks go. I'm sorry. When when dollar goes up, gold goes down. When dollar goes down, gold goes up. So in this case, we're seeing. So this is gold at the top here, dollar at the bottom here, and at the very bottom here, this whole is a correlation coefficient. So notice that the correlation coefficient currently is very high. It's in 74% range. In other words, gold and dollar are doing sort of the same thing. And normally, by and large, they're doing the opposite thing. But occasionally, you can see it spikes into positive territory. So right this instant, gold and dollar are both going up. Go figure. On average, obviously, not every day, but on average, gold and dollar has been going up for the past few months. So right now, dollar has pulled back from the recent highs that occurred here in April and landed on this blue support resistance line, my indicator support resistance line. So what we're looking for is, will gold let's just say for a second the dollar rallies from here, and like let's say it takes out this high from April. Will it weigh on gold? And the answer is we don't know at this point, because right now we have positive correlation. So even if dollar goes up, gold may not go down. Okay, so we have a weird period in time right now, and those periods do occasionally happen. And sometimes they last, a significant amount of time. Like, for example, this period, it's almost a year, this continued in 2022, 2023 area, and then finally it resolved back to normal. So we will see where this goes. For now, let's just kind of enjoy our gold positions. If this was an actual alert, so if you got in back in December and just did nothing, then you're in great shape. These purple arrows are, I didn't send actual alerts, but blue arrows were actual alerts. So by and large, if you just bought at the blue line and did nothing, you would be in great shape. And in fact, we're doing something of the similar nature with gold miners, and we're getting very good results right now with gold miners as well, individual gold miners as well as the gold miners ETF. So watching closely to see where this goes, but right now gold again just closed at new closing records. So the previous all-time high occurred right there on the 12th of April, but the closing high from today, it's a new all-time closing high. So for gold. Another security that I don't normally cover, but occasionally we see that, is the silver XAGUSD. So it's not an all-time high. You can see that gold made an all-time high just recently. Silver broke out to new like 10-year highs. The previous high for silver was like around here in 2013. We're again watching. I think the silver has probably more to do with electronics industry. Silver is used in various processes. For example, mirrors are made with silver, but I believe they do use silver in some of the industrial processes as well. So I'm guessing the reason why silver and copper just went to all-time highs is because of the construction, semiconductors, and possibly the AI industries that are using those metals. So for now, we're watching it closely. I haven't personally traded silver, but again, if you had my indicators, then you could easily trade it. Actually, this was an alert right here back in December, and technically speaking, you should have been still in this position. I would have probably been in this position still. Silver is more volatile than gold, so it's a little bit more difficult to trade, but the technique is about the same, really. So let's just enjoy the ride if you open the silver position or any of the gold miners or silver miners. One of the questions about one of the securities that people were asking on my YouTube channel is natural gas. So natural gas collapsed to multi-year lows. Okay, first of all, natural gas, you gotta be super careful with that security. It's one of the most volatile securities known to man. So definitely, like, either don't trade it at all or try your best to limit your losses. Sometimes you have just enormous wins. Let me just try and find one. For example, this is an actual alert here for me. Rather, I actually shorted it myself back in December, and I was able to capture most of this move, but not all. I think I got out like. Oh, this was actually from 2022. Yeah, 2022 to 2023. So I mean, it really collapsed here, and yeah, sometimes it goes like this. So big moves, obviously. I thought this was the breakout back in January of this year, but that didn't really work out. And notice that now we're again approaching bullish levels, or the blue line of my indicators. So if we close above the blue line, then again we will say that the security is now on an uptrend. But you have to realize that to get to the blue line, natural gas had to travel very significant distance from the lows. So it already is up like 70%. So a few more percent, about less than 10% away, is the bullish levels, and that's an uptrend level. So if we close above that level, it's currently at 2.84, then I think we will be in a new uptrend, and then in that case we'll be thinking about buying. At this point, technically speaking, we're still overbought within a bigger downtrend, but we had no trigger really. We need to see a trigger to close below the red line. So we'll see where it goes, but for now there is a good chance that actually natural gas is about to break out into a new uptrend. And I wanted to highlight a few of the ways in which you can trade cryptocurrency. So here's Bitcoin. Again, using my indicators, it's no different than any other securities. Let me rephrase it. It's no different than any other forex securities. So for forex, we trade between the blue and the red line. In other words, blue line is the buy signal, red line is a sell signal, and the green line and the yellow line is more like profit targets. So notice this on Bitcoin, opportunities to buy. So initial breakout occurred where I'm hovering back in February of 2023, and before that it was in a downtrend, and you could have sold it short. In fact, those were actual alerts to sell it short, and the latest one back in 2022 resulted in a 61% gain. Now, right this instant, Bitcoin is in an uptrend. Notice this up arrows. I personally bought this back here in October of last year. I did get stopped out eventually, but it's still in an uptrend. Bitcoin didn't really come down towards the blue line where I wanted to buy it here in May. and the blue line was around 55,000. See, I even wrote here buy Bitcoin again 55,000. It hasn't gotten there, so looks like we're about to break two new records. But if you're a big cryptocurrency fan, realize that you have more than just Bitcoin. For example, you have something called Solana. I don't know, I've never heard about it, but there it is, Solana. So you can do the same thing. There is, for example, opportunity to buy on close above the blue line. I'm just going to backtrack a little bit. I'm just going to go through the entire Solana history because it's not that long. It was founded in like 2021. So first opportunity to sell short was back in 2022. It would have been extremely successful because it went from like 126 to even lower to like 9. So you could have made just huge amounts of money. Then for a while it really just traded more or less sideways. For example, here back in 2023, those are all bearish alerts. Some of them would have been at least partially successful. Some of them really didn't go that far, but like for example, this would have been also a successful trade. Remember that our stop is at the blue line. So if you sold it short, then your stop is at the blue line, and yes, you get your target, for example, right there in June of 2023. Eventually, it turned around into an uptrend, and we had opportunities to buy, or at least at that point, I would have thought it was opportunity to buy. But remember, our stop would have been at the red line, and we were again stopped out. So very low movement to the upside here. And then we reversed to the downside, and again, it was a false move. So occasionally you get this type of move. So make sure to keep your losses as small as possible. But then the win would have been just tremendous. Notice this move from 25 to over 100. That started back in October 2023 and still more or less continues, and you have more opportunity to buy. It went to like 200. So you can see that there are ways to make money here. You just need to follow the indicators. So that's Solana for you. If I was trading Solana, I'm not. I would have bought it back here. The last opportunity was for me in 1st or 2nd of May right here of this year, 2024. Same goes for Ethereum. There's really no difference between the cryptos. You can see that, for example, latest leg of this rally starting in November of last year, we just buy at the blue line, and we just keep buying at the blue line. Eventually you will, turn around. There will be a turnaround, and at that point you will turn around and try to sell it short if you have a margin account. Not many people have a margin account for cryptocurrencies. And that's it for this week's recap. Please head over to MasterChartsTrading.com, click on sign up. So if you need the indicators that I just described, they're called trading indicators. They're available for TradingView.com. This is a TradingView.com interface. TradingView.com interface is free. And all you need to do is once you sign up on my site, send me a message, or I'll get a message, and I will open the door for you on TradingView.com. Very easy, not complicated at all. I can explain everything. I send out also a manual of how to use them, and you can also ask me questions by email. If you want to subscribe to my newsletter, so my newsletter, I send out daily alerts on the various securities we trade. So for example, this week we traded many of the securities, ETFs, large cap stocks, small cap stocks, speculative stocks, and gold related, as well as on the weekends I send out a special video for members only, covering all of the stocks that we traded during the week. And of course, the best deal is to get both trading indicators and newsletters, and this is new yearly prices. So if you buy 1 year ahead, you will pay an equivalent of, for example, for both trading indicators and newsletters, equivalent of $49.95 per month. If you buy it on a monthly basis, you'll pay $59.95 per month. But if you buy upfront for $599.95 for a year, then you get a discount of about 17% off for the whole year. Let me know if that makes sense. If you have any questions, please let me know, and don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe to this channel, share this video, ask any questions you like in the comments section, and I will talk to you next week. Thank you for watching. Have another great trading week. Bye-bye.